Hello and welcome to Scarlet Serpent readings. Thank you so much for joining me for this very special collaborative pick a card reading that was brought forth by Odessa Moll. So thank you for inviting me, Odessa, and thank you for all the fellow readers who took part in this collaboration. So this is entitled the Selfie/Identity collab, and we're all going to be tapping into different aspects of the self. So we have The Shadow Self by Lo-Fi Tarot, The Divine Feminine by Odessa Moll, Divine Masculine by Damselflies, and The Inner Child by Leo Guidance Time. And you could find all of those readings in the description underneath the timestamps. And I'm also going to probably put them in the comments as well, so you can have easy access to everyone's readings. And the best part is that they've put so much love and passion into the readings already. I mean, I've seen a couple, and it's just nice to get different variety, different energy, different creativity with each side of you, really, with different readers. So check them all out. Go ahead, subscribe, like their videos, because they're all excellent in their own right. And what I'm going to be covering is the higher self, and of course I wanted to, do something different, so I'm going to be incorporating at least half of the reading to the oversoul, which has just been something, I guess, like I've been thinking about in meditation. Maybe this was influenced by a comic that I read, by Jonathan Hickman, the Fantastic Four, and there he meets the Council of Reeds, and I was like, I don't know if this is written anywhere, I don't know, but of like a council of higher selves, like if there was a higher self collective in every dimension of space and time, in every timeline, like just a group of higher selves. So we're going to be getting messages, wisdom. I think I'm going to ask a couple specific questions to the oversoul, your oversoul, which is a collective of higher self. So hopefully you enjoy this reading, and again, check out everyone else's reading too, so you can get like a really big picture of different aspects of yourself. And I'd look forward to seeing how the readings connect. So anyway, I have 3 piles, and I have to apologize, by the way. I'm a little sick again, like, so if you notice I sound tired, I'm just stuffy, that's why. So okay, so I have 3 piles. Pile 1 is going to be this clear quartz point. I have pile 2, which is going to be this blue kyanite. Let's see if I could, there we go. And then pile 3 I should say, is another clear quartz cluster. So go ahead and tune in. Of course, as always, you could find the timestamps in the description, and in the description as well, you'll be seeing all of these other parts of the Selfie Tarot, the Selfie collaboration. So go ahead and check them out before or after this reading. Okay, so I'll see you at your pile. Hi, pile 1. If you chose the clear quartz crystal, this is going to be your reading. What is a message from your higher self and from your oversoul? And if you missed the intro, I'll explain the oversoul when we get to that part of the reading. So, and again, this is part of a collaboration with 4 other readers. So you can check out their portion of the reading in the description and in the timestamps below. And I'm going to be doing the higher self. So let's get into it. And the first thing I wanted to ask was what your connection is like to your higher self. And I flipped these cards over kind of to make the reading a bit quicker. I don't know. and I don't give myself a lot of time. Like, I take the cards, I flip them over, and I just start. So straight away, your connection to your higher self is interesting, because the first card that I saw was the Two of Cups, and it just says that you're very much connected to your higher self. And I was drawn to the Lion, which it turns out part of the connection and part of the message from your higher self was the number 26 with animal soul guardians. So I think you and your higher self kind of connect through animals, and I think it's interesting that there's the lion here. So it's like a lot of times I think animals would trigger that part of you to come out, your higher self. What I found really interesting though was the devil card kind of snuck up here. It could indicate kind of like Capricorn energy, and I just want to know how this reading would connect to your shadow self reading. So if you haven't already, I mean, check out everybody's part of the collaboration, but specifically Lo-Fi Tarot, and just see how this would connect specifically to this pile, because having the devil energy as kind of saying how your connection is like to the higher self is interesting, and I'm actually going to pull an extra card for that. But I'll say that for the most part, you live as your higher self normally. I wouldn't be surprised if you're not someone who, like, I mean, if you channel guardians and ancestors, I don't think you would do that as much with your higher self, because you already embody that part of you more often than most people. Like, you just live as your higher self on a regular basis, and I mean, everyone has the ability to do that, to live as their higher self, but I just think you do it very often, and specifically that side of you that is connected to being peaceful, as peaceful and happy as possible, comes from it's like pets, animals. If you sit in a park and you're just just looking at different birds, for example, that kind of triggers this side of you to automatically be embodied by you. So I wanted to take a look at this devil card, and then we have the Knight of Swords. It's so creepy looking. This is a creepy Knight of Swords. If you could look at the face, that's a. I mean, I don't get really like creepy decks, I don't think, but I didn't know this was in there. So that's really interesting. It's not only interesting in your connection to your higher self, but it's also interesting in the message that you've gotten from your higher self. So I'm going to jump into that and maybe bounce back. Your message from the higher self has a lot to do with swords energy. It's a lot of swords energy. In fact, you have the Queen of Swords, the Death card, and the Five of Swords. Queen of Swords. So this could be regarding a person who you're dealing with. The Death card, which was just like that, right behind the Queen of Swords. And then the Five of Swords, which is Venus in Aquarius, which is interesting. It could be like, so this might be just the energy that you're in now, which is a lot of shadow energy. Maybe your higher self is actually really helping you at this time embrace your shadow, and if you've been experiencing a lot of particularly dense, dark energies, it's like you are already connected to your higher self, but it's like, it kind of feels like a meeting, right, where your higher self and your shadow are getting together, and kind of the judgment and really the need to fight, to fight the devil, to fight that shadow within you is subsiding. That's actually how the battle could be won, is through not trying to suppress this shadow, this devil side. It could be just to walk away from it, But I think more so than that, it's just understanding the nature of your shadow, understanding where that comes from, and being compassionate. And that's where your real strength comes from. And this brightness isn't helping, sorry. But what I think is helpful, it's kind of cool, isn't that weird? It's like, okay, there we go. I was gonna say, it's like someone doesn't want me to show this to you. Just look how looming the figure is. It does look like a line, and these two sides of you as well. This could represent, as you know, your masculine and feminine side, and you might see one as the shadow. So let's just say, just because the Queen of Swords was here, let's say maybe some of you don't have that connection with your divine feminine, or you had like a mother figure who was particularly difficult and manipulating, and your higher self is kind of bringing to light that connection with your mother figure as this part of you that might have been kind of self-deceptive, trying to win fights as opposed to be at peace, which is what the higher self is about. The higher self doesn't really have an interest in winning or losing. It just wants to be at peace. And I think this could mark the transition that you're undergoing right now, which is very powerful. And it could be heavy, which is why there's so much swords and so much movement and density going on right now. So if you're going through that, just know it might not be easy, but at the end of the day, you're going to come back more whole, stronger, and filled with compassion and understanding for all aspects of yourself, and so by consequence, just all types of people. You'll be at peace with whatever situation comes your way, and that's very powerful. And I think connecting with animals as much as you can, like go to a zoo, prioritize that. It'll ease your mind, and you probably have a very strong animal spirit team, or several animal spirits. So connect to them as well. I think it's kind of like a doorway to your higher self. So let's move on to a message from your oversoul, which is, I'm going to consider it to be like a council of your higher selves. Higher selves get together from all dimensions, from all timelines. It's just an incredibly massive group of your highest self. It's kind of hard to comprehend what it's like, but bear with me. It's kind of like the biggest part of you. Yeah. And an incredibly wise side to who you are. So I wanted to ask, what did I want to ask? Actually, what is your master lesson in this lifetime, specifically from your oversoul? So it has a lot to do. Well, give it a second. Yeah. So I guess you're drawn to this reading at this time because you were probably enduring this sort of energy of really dense energies, and I had mentioned connecting the shadow with the higher self, because that's part of your journey, and you've probably embraced or at least experienced both of those things in this specific lifetime. They're referencing this lifetime, so the master lesson is in this life, but I think it's part of a greater piece to your oversoul. And so we have the 5 of Cups. So definitely some loss. I think you might attribute this loss to this person or this energy. So someone who's been deceitful and manipulated. They're not. A Queen of Swords is not always like that. It's just coming across that way for some reason, especially with the Knight of Swords up top as well. It's kind of like maybe the mind kind of plays tricks on your perception of who someone is or how they act. We have the Two of Pentacles, which feels particularly close to Earth, which might be also why you have a strong connection to animals, because you're very connected to the Earth, and it kind of brings you back to your higher self. And then we have the Sun. So I think your master lesson has a lot to do with transformation and choosing light, choosing peace over victory, over being right. And a really powerful lesson for you is being at peace even as you lose connections, as people drift out of your life. Because if you could find that love within yourself, it's kind of like, instead of needing friendships and relationships, if you could find that within yourself, you'll never feel, it's like this feeling will subside of constantly losing people who deceive you. It's like you'll always have your spirit team, you'll always have your higher self, which you're very close to. You'll always have your animal spirit team, and you'll always have kind of like birds and dogs and things that you could count on that won't let you down. So it's really about focusing the mind on the positive as much as you can, and kind of taking ownership in that way. Taking ownership of how you want to experience life. I'd say that's what they would say is your master lesson in this lifetime. So let's see, what's your hidden mastery? A mastery that you may not be aware of yet, and that might come from other timelines or from the higher self of another you in another dimension or something like that. So what is your hidden mastery? You have the Six of Cups. The Seven of Swords. So I think part of it is changing your, sorry, I thought that was on silent. Changing your perception of like the past. It's like you could go back in time and shift reality just based on what you thought happened. And it's kind of like when you listen to a song for the first time and then life happens and you listen to it again and the song changes. It's sort of like that, but with your memory. But it could also work against you, where you look back and you focus on something that wasn't necessarily positive. So that's really something that's under your control, and I think that's a mastery that you have, is that as you become more filled with light and love and compassion, you could even see dark beings or dark situations as something that eventually helped you grow into a more spiritual person. And we have the Page of Cups, which kind of, I think, going away from, because he had a lot of swords, so part of this mastery is moving away from the mind and trying to hyper-analyze everything that has happened and step into just the way it feels. Like, it'd be kind of like, instead of trying to name all of the colors of a sunset, you just breathe it in and step into what it feels like. It's a more broad perspective, so it's interesting, because with these decks, it's like there's a lot of detail in one of them, which I think is the perspective of your higher self and really the way you currently see things. But as you step into your kind of hidden mastery, it becomes a little more abstract, less detail oriented, and you can get a bigger picture. And I think maybe that's why, I mean, this is just the first pile, so I have no idea, but Maybe that's why I was drawn to do the Oversoul as well as the Higher Self, to get like this really, really broad view of who you are and your situation, and I just think there's a lot of different ways that you could experience life, and you're beginning to realize, if you haven't already, that could drastically change from moment to moment, just based on, like, if you were to focus mostly on sound and how that would change, as opposed to using your eyes or using your emotions. I do think your loss or your losses in your past almost made you more graceful and more free in not being as attached to people and circumstances, but enjoying them when they come. Yeah. I think that's probably why I have a lot of swords from your higher self. That point of view. Because if I was to say that, it's like this Devil card in the Knight of Swords. It's like you do not allow yourself to be attached for too long, but you enjoy it while it's there. So it's actually, it kind of balances out in a way where you're not afraid to indulge, but not for that long. So yeah, let's just get one more message, actually, from the Oversoul. We have this card. Connectedness is very important to you. That's probably something that your higher self and your Oversoul kind of want you to not be afraid to embrace people. Maybe that's been something as well, as like, although there have been a lot of people who have hurt you, and it might be definitely a skill to cut people off and move on and not be too attached to anything, to enjoy those moments where you do find companionship and attachment, when you do find people who really are like you and appreciate you for who you are. And this goes for the material world specifically, because I think it's been more of a challenge in the 3D world, but definitely in the spirit world as well, with different energies and entities that connect with you, because you have a very welcoming energy, as we saw with the Sun card. So I'll show you the Sun real quick. There we go. So hopefully this reading was enjoyable, helpful. I just saw 1111, so that's, I think maybe it might have been. I did try and keep it short because, like, I feel I'm stuffy. Sorry, but check out everyone else's reading. Again, I'll just read you Lo-Fi Tarot with the Shadow Self, Divine Feminine by Odessa Moll, The Divine Masculine by Damselflies, and The Inner Child by Leo Gadenstein. Those are all going to be in the description and the comment section, and so you could see, maybe come back after you've seen those to see how those readings connect, and you can get a full picture of yourself. So hopefully you enjoyed this reading. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Take care. Hi Pile 2, if you chose this blue kyanite stone, this is going to be your reading. And this is, of course, if you missed the intro, a part of a collaboration with 4 other readers. I'm going to have their videos posted in the description box and in the comment section, so you can get the full scope of all of the readings in the Selfie collaboration. So part 1 of my reading is on the higher self, and part 1 of part 1 is what your connection is like to your higher self. So we have the 8 of Pentacles, the 5 of Swords, and the 7 of Swords. And I think you've put in a lot of work in connecting to your higher self specifically. I think you've put in a lot of spiritual work in connecting, but also sometimes you're not really sure if you're acting from the perspective of your higher self or if you're receiving reliable information from your higher self. And sometimes the mind can make you kind of move away from receiving the guidance, even though, I mean, it is always coming through, but there is a little bit of self-deception here sometimes, not all the time, but you've certainly put in the work, and you're certainly continuing to kind of make a space for your higher self specifically. Very different from pile 1, so just wanted to put that out there. Let's see what their message is, what your higher self message is. And really, they want to bring forth to you kind of confirmation that material wealth is coming, that manifestation is coming. I think that's part of maybe your struggle in connecting with your higher self has come from, because you've put so much spiritual work, you've done so much self-understanding and meditation and connection, and you're like, well, and it's great to connect with spirit and to kind of feel that and know that that's something that's happening, but at the same time you're expecting something physically to come from it, because it's just not balanced, it's as within so without, and you're kind of wondering and a little frustrated because nothing's really physically manifested. And by that I mean, like, you don't have this sort of freedom that you feel you should have, or you don't have sort of the material evidence of the amount of work that you've put in, and it's frustrating. I'm saying that and I'm getting frustrated for you, so I could only imagine, that level of frustration. And that's why we get the 5 of Swords and the 7 of Swords energy. That's why that's there, despite the Virgo from the 8 of Pentacles, or the Sun, I think it's the Sun, I don't know, in Virgo. Very bright energy, working towards what you want, which is a connection to your higher self and spirit. It's like, after a while, you want to walk away, and that's just because there's just no evidence for that amount, for that length of time and dedication. Your higher self is saying that it's coming in. Like, this was the card that came through, is manifestation blessings for progress. So kind of feels like Archangel Uriel. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune and the King of Pentacles. This is a lot of abundant, very beautiful energy. The King is looking directly into the Wheel of Fortune here, so it's like the King knows what's coming. And then we have the 6 of Swords, which is kind of moving away from both of those thoughts, both of those energies of the 5 of Swords and 7 of Swords. So you're moving towards faith and away from just, I was going to say insecurity, but that's not the word. Doubt. And you'll be at a position where you'll be able to share your wisdom from receiving and being. I think it's just gonna happen very quickly and all at once, and in a way that's very structurally sound. With the King of Pentacles, it really feels like you'll have more than enough to share with others, more than enough to have a family or do whatever it is that you want, and you have the compassion and understanding, just through your experience of not having enough, that you'll be more than willing to share and help others who might not have it so easy when it comes to staying afloat financially. But that's what happens when you've taken so much work spiritually. It's like it's such a strong foundation, that whatever you choose to do, especially if it's like a spiritual practice, that the reward is coming. It just has to. And the wheel is turning. It's just like, depending on where you are in the wheel, you might not feel it as much. So if you're centered, you just don't notice that turn, but it is turning, and it's gonna be big. It's more of being able to recognize it and clear your mind as much as you can, so that you could fully embrace that. And I think your higher self is telling you to continue sitting with your higher self, and continue to trust in that movement, because it's coming, and it's going to be great, and something you deserve. You deserve that. You know you deserve it, but you still need to be told that you deserve it. So the second part of the reading is from the Oversoul, which is kind of like your council of higher selves, your collective of higher selves from different universes, different dimensions. So it's just like a really broad part of you. And I wanted to ask what your master lesson is in this lifetime. That just jumped out. So we have the Ace of Cups, which is to play. I think with all the work with the Virgo is really the only, I mean, there's obviously other signs here, but the only sign that popped out to me was Virgo. And I think you just have that work ethic where you really want to accomplish something, and when you focus, that's all that matters to you, is having evidence of your work too, you know. And your higher self wants to play. I wouldn't be surprised if you chose a pile in the inner child reading that was just, I don't know, I want to know what that reading was like for you. So, because I feel like that would be the most important one for this particular pile, is making time for fun and prioritizing fun, because maybe in the past it wasn't something that was seen as important in your family, or you just didn't have time, or it was something that was brushed aside as unimportant. But in reality, especially now, it feels like that's almost the key to your success, is allowing yourself to play and be free, so that you could have a balanced way of living. We have the Eight of Cups and the Ace of Wands. It's interesting though, there's kind of a mirroring effect of pile 1 now with that balance. Of being emotionally inspired and, having the passion to bring that inspiration into reality. This Eight of Cups isn't really moving away from anything. I mean, that card can tend to be a little melancholy, but this one seems very happy and bright. And looking at the moon, where you'll notice the dolphins up top and the moon are facing they're in the same part of the card. So you might even see it as a shadow aspect of yourself. It's like playing is seen as a shadow for you, because it's distracting, because it's not productive. And I think it's almost like your oversoul recognizes that you've had so much of a desire to make money and to live in a prosperous state of mind, that your council of higher selves might be trying to tell you, just enjoy the little things, and to play and to have fun on this planet, because I think some of the other higher selves are like, it's kind of amazing. Just enjoy it, because some of the other planets that you've been on have been kind of dreadful, or a lot of them don't even have physical forms. They have no idea what it's like to feel the breeze of like a sunrise, or to just get caught in the rain, silly things like that. Not to take that for granted, because there are versions of you that never get to experience that, and that's for all the work you've put into making, even spiritual connection. Don't forget about physical reality, because it's beautiful and it's part of your journey as well. So let's see what your hidden mastery is. I made that face because we got the Queen of Pentacles. It's like, you know how to make abundance happen. You know how to manifest. That is your hidden mastery, and I think for some of you, you wouldn't really believe it. I think you're almost putting too much effort into trying. It's like, as you try more, the results kind of diminish in a way. Try less. Yeah. We have the Queen of Pentacles, the Five of Wands, the Tower, and the Fool. That's your hidden mastery. This is not just any fool. This is like the golden fool. It's the fool that comes back after the first journey. So enlightened. I think in a lot of ways you do well when there's chaos. I think that's why you're a bit of a workaholic with the Eight of Pentacles, and this desire to really make abundance and to work with your higher self, because like I think your oversoul is saying there's been a lot of versions of you that have been warriors and have you're just used to battle, and this lifetime is about not having to battle as much, and that's very hard for you because you're a warrior and you enjoy it, and it's a dance for you. Even this looks like, generally speaking, it's a battle, but it looks like a dance here. You enjoy dancing. That's your energy, and that's your mastery. You do very well when you're fighting, but this lifetime is more about relaxing and allowing the wheel to turn, allowing the manifestation to come in. Just look at how these images connect. Yeah, one's above ground, the other's underwater. And this is the last card that came out, so through all of this movement, that's where wisdom comes from. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if others have seen you as a chaos bringer, not in a bad way. Like, I'll just say, as an example for me, whenever I ever see, when they have the rocks that pile on top of each other, nothing excites me more than to just knock them over. Or like in nature, when people build cute stuff, I like destroying it. Or sandcastles, I love destroying sandcastles. It makes me happy. I don't know why, but that's just kind of the energy I'm getting. It's like you like knocking things over so that you could build them again. You like building. You're a builder, and that's kind of the yin and yang to you, right? Like, you destroy other people's work and traditions and stuff like that. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you don't like tradition just for tradition's sake. It's like if your family or maybe like a national holiday says on this day you have to do this, and the family always does it, but you're just kind of like it's irritating because you want to create your own tradition. I could see that as a part of not just this lifetime, but multiple other lifetimes. You're very good at breaking things down, and I say that again because we have 2 aces here, as well as the Queen of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles. You're a builder, so it's just part of building is taking breaks and allowing inspiration to come in and time to play as well. So finding that balance is going to be essential if you haven't found that out already. But let's just get one additional message from your Oversoul before we close out this reading. I need water. An Advil, I think. Okay. Look at that. Yeah, I had mentioned the yin and yang within you. It makes sense. Definitely check out, of course, all the readings, but the shadow self as well, just to get this reading balanced out, in particular by Lo-Fi Tarot. But embracing the destructive side that you have, especially with this. I see that warrior. You're like a warrior. Lots of fire energy as well, but you still have the flowers. So just take note of when you want to dance in fire and when you want to just be at peace under the moonlight, because there's value, and it's only when you could merge those 2 energies within yourself together that you'll really get that abundance and manifestation of material wealth that you've been looking for, is through that balance and connection with those sides of you. So hopefully this reading was helpful. Sorry, I'm under the weather, but definitely check out the rest of the collaboration. Again, thank you, Odessa, for having me be a part of this. I had a lot of fun, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Take care. Hi, Pile 3. If you chose this clear quartz cluster, this is going to be your reading. As part of a collaboration, if you missed the intro, your SELFIE collaboration, so really stepping into all aspects of yourself, your higher self, your shadow self, your divine masculine, divine feminine, and inner child. And I'm going to have a link for all of those readings in the description box and in the comment section, so you can get the full scope of the reading. So part 1 is the higher self, and the first thing I wanted to look at was what your connection is like to your higher self. And for that, I have the 3 of Wands. Excuse me. 4 of Cups and the Strength card. I think one of you is very patient with the other. That's a beautiful Strength card, though. I mean, even because I have other cards here, and there's a very strong desire to travel, and that's a desire that you have and your higher self has together, like as one, a very, very strong desire to travel. I think sometimes your higher self gives you advice that you just don't see, and sometimes you're looking for advice and guidance, but it just seems to be far away. So sometimes there's a disconnect, but overall, there's a strong bond to your higher self. And I think your higher self comes through the most when there's particularly difficult situations, like you just automatically become your higher self when the time is the most necessary, and not necessarily when you're, I know it's weird to say, but like not when you're making space for your higher self. It's more of it just like snaps into your being suddenly. It's very sudden. So let's get a message from your higher self, and that message comes in the form of the Eight of Cups, the Two of Wands, and I just want to point out these cards are very much connected together. If I put them this way, I don't know if you notice, but there's the mountain in the background for this Two of Wands. Like she's looking at it, and it's the same exact river as well. So it's like on the other side, you do have that desire to travel, and it's like once you actually move towards what you feel in your heart you long for, there's going to be an entire new opportunity. And I do think for many of you it'll be like a love opportunity, not for everyone, but if that doesn't resonate with you, if you're not looking for a partnership, it could be a friendship, or it could just be kind of this side of you that you feel has been missing in terms of just opportunity and just feeling at home with the planet. Because again, I don't know why this Four of Pentacles or Page of Pentacles really feels like travel as well. There's just a really, really strong sense and desire to move about and see the world through new eyes. I do think that love is what's going to bring that for you. Let's get a couple more cards here, because it's like this pile is very daydreamy, you know, with the moon. I guess that makes sense, right? With the daydreaming and the Six of Cups. Yeah, actually that makes a lot of sense, both these. Daydreaming, lots of so what I'm getting at, actually, that makes sense, is to stop daydreaming and make that a reality. I mean, that's kind of what your higher self is saying fairly in a strong way. I guess that's why the Strength card is here, is to take the action necessary to make that happen, to prioritize movement, because I think right now you're in that energy of kind of being still and not seeing how you could actually go about holding the world, having control of the world, taking the world in your own hands. And I think really, depending on where there is fire in your chart, that fire is going to be the secret to making the movement, taking the action towards travel, specifically travel. And I do see this Six of Cups here, so maybe there's this past loved one, this lover that you daydream about, but they exist in reality. They exist. Whether or not it's the same person, that could be different, but yeah, so if you go after that feeling, if you go after the feeling that you got from here, that's why the Eight of Cups is here. It's using emotion to feel your way through the mountain. This is actually a pretty strong love story that's going on here. It's like that other side of you is waiting, you know. I always mention, like, if you don't feel like it's a love relationship, that could mean one of two things. Like, well, if you're in a relationship now, it's probably not as relevant, although it could indicate like a reinvigorating sense of passion that has been lost through moving together with your partner, or moving with another partner potentially, if that's how you really feel and you're not really being honest about that. Another thing would be kind of just connecting with yourself, as I said, kind of connecting with just love in general, and the feeling of not necessarily loving another person like that, but just knowing what that that energy feels like that's just like everything kind of feels brighter, and you're happier, and possibilities are endless, and there's just a sense of feeling connected again. And this is kind of like a journey of connectedness. If you had felt isolated, that you can feel connected, and it's hard to foresee exactly where the journey will take you. Like from here you can't see this part, and from here you can't see this part, and from here you can't see this part. You can't see the whole journey from your specific vantage point. You have to move in order to get new views of the world, and I think there's a very deep longing for that for you. So I have an additional card from your higher self, and that is Technologies of Love. This card is about using technology to connect to spirituality, and I don't know, there's like, what I'm getting from here is a relay message, is that your desire to move is coming from either another person's desire to have you move as well, or there's this communication. I think that's where that connection to your higher self is coming from. It's like when you daydream, what you daydream of, it kind of wants you as well. It wants you to do the things you're thinking of doing. So whenever there's this doubt that you don't feel connected to spirit, I just don't think that's true. You're just not recognizing how much of an influence your guides have, and specifically your higher self has, over what it is that you want to do in the world and what will make you the most happy. So let's look at your oversoul, which, if you skip the intro, is pretty much like your collective of higher selves across the multiverse, and it's really an enormous part of you. So we're gonna ask your oversoul about kind of your life lesson, your master lesson in this lifetime, and then we're gonna ask about a hidden mastery that you're not aware of, that your oversoul could see from their vantage point. So first, what is your master lesson in this lifetime from your oversoul? We have the Judgment card, the Ace of Cups again. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay, that's not. I don't know why these seem so connected. It's like you have a longing to go to the top of the mountain. It's really about following this longing that you have. I know, my throat is all messed up, so I'm sorry. I'm still sick, But it's also about creating your own purpose through what feels good. And the importance of emotional satisfaction, the importance of just going after something you can't see, but something you could sense. It's moving towards it. There's a strong sense of movement, kind of like a dolphin, or I guess a lot of sea creatures would move through vibrations or sound, but they can't really see what they're going after. They just know it's there, and I think you know it's there. I think you're connected to dolphins. I think you're connected to the water, and as you embrace that side of you, you'll be able to be more confident in navigating the world, which is filled with noise and distractions, towards what is truly satisfying on a very deep soul level, where your oversoul can say, yeah, there we go, we're moving in the direction we know that we want to move in. So let's kind of take a look at your hidden mastery. I wouldn't be surprised. Okay. So you have the Hierophant, the Temperance card. So you're very powerful. You have a lot of wisdom to you. You have a lot to share with the world. And you know how to really use your emotions to make new things happen. We have the Three of Wands again. So this is pretty cool, because we saw the Three of Wands earlier, right? In your connection to your higher self. So there is a mastery in embodying your higher self in a lot of ways, but there's also a very strong mastery in movement, in travel, and expecting. I was going to say expectations manifest, but that's really what this is. Are you expecting to travel, or are you just hoping? There's that shift of taking leadership and ownership of your situation and making it happen through sheer willpower. It's kind of that confidence in working with your team. And that's how this daydream becomes a reality. Look how pretty that is. I mean, that almost feels like you get to explore the world, and through exploring the world, you explore yourself. And I think that's also part of what you want to do at a very deep level. Again, your oversoul could see it in a very different way. Yeah. It's like, imagine these two cards are the same, but it's like, this is your higher self and this is your oversoul, and look how different that is. One just feels like travel. One just feels like I just want to taste different foods and go on rides and meet people. But your oversoul sees it as an expansion of consciousness. Your oversoul sees it as getting to know yourself and a creative liberation, really. And that's kind of, there's that mixing of your higher self in this lifetime and all of your higher selves in every other lifetime you've had. It's through that blending and awareness of all of those sides of you. That's how you'll get to where you're trying to go. And then once you get there, once you start experiencing this Three of Wands energy, this movement, this love that you've been going after, that's when you get to share your experience as a guru, as a teacher, as a wise person who's finally understood themselves fully and can share stories of your travels. So very exciting stuff, I have to say. Let's just look at one additional message from your oversoul. Come on, look at that. The world is showing up again. It's in your hands. It's your planet. The whole planet is you. You have a very strong connection to the earth, and it's not a surprise. Actually, I just noticed in this card, that's Earth. You really wanna travel. You really wanna make it you wanna see yourself in everything. And I would say this is confirmation that that's gotta be a priority, that you've gotta go after it. And you've gotta know that your team wants this for you as well. Your oversoul knows how important it is for your soul to evolve. So hopefully you enjoyed this reading. I think this is very powerful stuff here, powerful message. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Comment, like, subscribe, and check out all of the other readings for this collaboration. And again, thank you, Odessa, for having me again. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. Watch the other ones, come back, see how they connect, see where the messages intertwine, and I'm looking forward to it. So take care.